Hey there, guys. Time to get back to our favorite game of poor frame rate hockey. So we'll go ahead and get to this. We'll just go ahead and load our save state. Let me make sure I've got this put to the right thing, and I'll go ahead and switch the audio over as well. So we are 3-1 up now in this series as we play against Hartford, and we'll see how it goes this time around. Getting a little bit easier now that I'm sort of getting used to like the flow of all of this and so on and so forth. Once again today, sort of like it was yesterday, I'm a little bit behind schedule where I want to be, but that's just the way it is. I had a big baseball video come out today and ended up spending a whole bunch of time this morning putting that together, so that's kind of what happens. All right, let's go ahead and score some goals here if we can, or we'll just lose the puck. That works as well. I will say this though, the poor frame rate in this game does kind of make a difference. It does make it a bit harder to play because you're kind of fighting sort of against the game itself. And what I mean by that is that you wind up. What were we called for there? I'm not sure. I didn't see that at all. So whatever. But what I mean by that is that you know, there's what you want to do, and then there's what the game is going to let you do, and sometimes those two things are not exactly the same. We came really, really close to a shorthanded goal there. Oh, there we go. Good check. Just a little bit behind that loose puck. I'm not sure which guy was controlling there either, but it's all right. It works out in the end. There's a lot of cool sort of little stuff here in this game, right? There's a lot of stuff where, you know, you're trying to get the guy you're up against to, like, you know, switch the puck to, like, the forehand or the backhand or whatever. Lots of cool stuff going on that's sort of, you know, little in-the-game type stuff that you don't see in a lot of hockey games. Definitely is a big step up from Blades of Steel on the Game Boy, I'll put it to you that way. There are a lot of interesting comments there where people are talking about, you know, Game Boy games. Sometimes Game Boy games looking a little, ooh, that was very, very lucky. They're giving the goal to Corson, but he kind of shot it and then it kind of trickled in behind the goalie. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but somehow it worked. Let's see if we can do one of those again. And we ended up just sort of like sitting there after the shot came by. So I'm guessing that, like, with the Super Nintendo version of this game, it's not just the frame rate that's an issue. It seems that there are a couple of issues here with the AI logic as well. But it's Anderson who ends up scoring there for Hartford, and that ties it at 1. And then here, I know somebody else has already said this, but yeah, every time the music plays in this game, there's no other sound that happens at the same time. So one of the problems with the Super Nintendo port of this game. We'll have to see if the later games in this series have similar problems or not. I'm not sure about you guys, but when I was a kid, in the rare event that I would end up playing this game, there we go. It wasn't this one. It was mostly NHL 94 that I remember playing. I think that's a game that was much more popular. But when we would play a game like that, it was almost always on the Genesis. I don't remember playing that on a Super Nintendo anywhere. I had friends who had a Super Nintendo, but usually they would end up wanting to play like a shooting game or an adventure game or something like that. For sports games, really, you know, people who were fans of sports would have a Sega Genesis. It's sort of interesting how oh, they're gonna call icing. I thought it was. I thought they got it down far enough. No problem. It's pretty interesting, you know, what reputation will do. So the Genesis, because it had the reputation of being the sports system, if you were interested in sports games, chances were pretty good that you had a Genesis. It's to the point where there was I want to say in 1993, there was a Nintendo Power like little segment as part of, you know, the reviews of games and so on that they did. They were talking about sports games and trying to prove to people that there actually were sports games on the Super Nintendo. And I mean, there were, right, but the quality was not quite what it probably should have been. And that does include games like this one, Savard, at that time. So 3-1 Montreal. I was sort of surprised that he even had the puck. I couldn't tell. I will say this, I know a lot of you guys are much more expert at this game than I am, but what I've definitely learned about it is that as you play it, you want to like think about what you're doing while you're playing instead of just sort of doing whatever. You're going to have a lot more success with this game if you actually have sort of a plan than if you're just, you know, going to go around and push a whole bunch of buttons. So that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you have a plan. I haven't seen a lot of instances so far when I've played where I've wanted to change lines outside of face-offs usually, but then again, I'm only playing with 5-minute periods, so yeah, I don't know, maybe if you were playing the full 20, you'd want to do that. But for the most part, you know, you can wait till the next face-off and make your line change. It's not really that bad. And what that usually means is that you usually don't need to really like dump the puck in and try to make anything like that happen. Yeah, and we got lucky there somehow. I swear though that these penalties are just, they feel like they're totally random. Anyway, there's a slashing penalty, but like EA didn't do a particularly good job of like showing you what the cause of the penalty was. So it's one of those things I think they really could have done a better job doing. I'm also not sure if we're the home team or if they're the home team. I think this is actually in Hartford. Anyway, there's other cool stuff you can do too, like you can break the glass if you shoot hard enough and stuff like that. I don't think that we've had any shots miss and go into the glass yet though, so. Alright, we'll just go ahead and keep this going. Make it relatively quick, and I think that we're going to win this game here and we'll end up winning the series today. That's my hope at least. All right, see, like I was saying about AI logic, so right there we have, you know, three players on our power play. We have 3 players sort of in the defensive zone sitting in the same place, and they're kind of looking at each other, right? So I'm not sure what the plan was there, but whatever it wasn't working that well. The other thing is on defense, you do want to be a little bit careful about accelerating. I keep trying that, and it has not worked even once. So you don't want to necessarily accelerate blindly. There's probably a way you can trick the goalie into leaving his net like that. You know, the best part, not just about this game, but about this series in general, is the way that players move on the ice is very, very well done. Very, very realistic. And it's a pretty big contrast with, as I've said before, with a bunch of the other games that came before it, especially with Blades of Steel on the Game Boy. Not that that would be a bad game or anything. Try to score while I'm changing lines. Didn't quite work. All right, about a minute and a half left. It's probably going to end up working out pretty well for us, I'm guessing. So in sort of news on this channel, the next video I do is probably going to be about the history of the NHL on television in the United States. All right, well, that time it's our turn to get the penalty, so we're back to the penalty kill unit. Anyway, we're going to do a little bit of a look at the history of hockey on television, which is a real interesting history, you know, especially when you think about, I didn't realize they had an empty net. If I knew that before, this would have been a lot different. Like, so nobody's going to go in front of the net, they're just going to sort of like stand there, you know, in front of it. Like, I mean, so we get the shorthanded goal, it's 4-1. And somebody explained to me like what the logic was behind that. And there you go, we get the goal right at the end of the game. Anyway, yeah, so look forward, this Saturday we'll have a video, once I write it and get it put together, about the history of hockey on television in the United States. Anyway, so there you have it. I'll just sort of finish up that thought tomorrow. So join me again tomorrow. We'll figure something else to play, and it'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, look forward on Saturday to another long-form video coming on this channel, and we'll see what we can do. We'll see if we can get a good crowd of people to watch it. Talk to you later.